Welcome to Curiosity, Creativity and Beyond. Today we are filming at the intertidal zone and we are gonna sketch this amazing crab that I found dead while I was hiking those rocks over there. And I have my color pencils, my sharpener, my eraser, my non-photo blue pencil that needs a little bit of sharpening, and my 2B graphite pencil that also needs a little bit of sharpening. And Barnacle Bill is the name of our crab because it has a lot of barnacles. So let's go to it, shall we? So the first thing I notice is how heavy Barnacle Bill is, and it has two very strong and different legs that end in a pincher. Wow. And because it's very recently dead, I can still move all the bits and pieces. So I can see how he actually uses his legs to crunch all the yummy bits with it. And then he has another type of leg in the back. They look skinny, and I bet he doesn't use them to eat with them as much. So I want to make sure that I draw all these details because I see they have tiny hairs on the very last part of the leg. And then when I flip it to the back, I see, yeah, this is the back of the crab. And I see that the legs at the front are longer, and the legs at the back, they start getting shorter. And if I flip it like this, then we get to see his tummy. As we can see where all the legs attach, and also we can see this shape. How interesting. I have heard that depending on the shape of this part on the ventral surface, you can tell whether the crab is a male or a female. And I have been told by a couple of kids that knew a lot about crabs that this is a male. And they are the ones that name him Barnacle Bill because it has a lot of barnacles attached to him. And we don't know whether the barnacles attached to him while he was still alive or when he died. You can even see the mouth parts and pieces here, and it's so fresh that you can still see all the tiny bits and pieces. That's where he gets all the food, with all these tiny pieces. So I really want to draw this crab like this. He's very handsome, and I want to make sure I sketch him. So let's sketch him, shall we? What if we sketch Barnacle Bill like this? So I have my sketchbook. I hope it can be seen well. And the first thing I'm going to do, I notice, is the shape, the overall shape. And it looks like a spaceship, to be honest. So I'm just going to, with my non-photo blue pencil, I'm going to make a circle, kind of an oval here. That's where the body is going to go. And it has this part, this curve goes down and up and then down. We have a fly because Barnacle Bill is very dead and it smells. So we have that curve. Then I notice that I see a little bit of like two little mountain shapes here. So I want to make sure I don't miss those. And then that's the top. And then the bottom, it's a little bit different. It goes, the fly, it goes a little bit down. And it flattens out here, right where I have my thumb. So I want to make sure I draw all these bits and pieces. So I know around here, there's going to be a lot of, fly, well, enjoy your meal. We have the two eyes here, And we also have these mouthpieces that end around here and that they join in the middle. Hey, come on, flies. I promise you I'll give you the crab after. So there's two parts here. And then we have the leg comes from here, and the other leg comes from there, and the other leg, and I don't see much of where the other leg comes from, so I'll do the same thing here. One leg here, and then the other one comes from here. It has so many bits and pieces, so many. Look how that moves, that joint. Oh, so that part doesn't move. That is so interesting. So that part stays there, and then the joint moves. And the first joint is that one, and then the second joint is going to be this one, and the third joint is going to be this one. And because it's so fresh, we can see this. It looks like cartilage, but I don't know really what it is. But it's very flexible. So I'm gonna sketch this, and just with my non-photo blue pencil, just putting things in place before going with my graphite pencil. And that horn there that we saw here from behind, here we can see it right there, sticking out, and it's very pointy. And this is the second joint, and this is the third joint. And we get to see the dactyl from a different point of view. So we see it from the back, and now we see it from the front. This is the one that is attached, and this is the one that moves. And they're symmetrical. I see these pieces like this, these. It's like if I had a mirror. These and these are the same. That's something I want to include on my drawing. It's almost as if this crab had symmetry like this. If we fold these two, it's symmetrical. And then we have all these ridges here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. At least that I see on this side. And they're becoming much more pointy and much larger as we go into the end. So I'm going to try to add that detail into my drawing. So now I'm going to add at least one leg, and this is my first join there. Again, that part over there. And look at all that hair. I want to put that in my drawing for sure. The orifice for the eyes. And then I see all these ridges, how they're getting much more pronounced as I go into the side. And then exact same thing here, and I even see like two little antenna, these on one end, and these must have been cut. So I'm just going to make sure I add that, a tiny antenna, and then there's two pieces here that look like tiny feet, but they are not feet. 1 and 2. And beside it, it's like a cavity. I wonder if that's where they go once they are done looking for food, whether that's where they hide. So then I'm going to add the details there, because these pieces come here and then come here, and I see there's something there. It's like a puzzle. This looks absolutely like a puzzle, and all the pieces, they need to come together. There's this like 2 piece here, and then it's the same structure here. So let's see if I can do it right. So 1 and 2, and then come to here, and then the top one has this thing here. There we go. And I can even detach it and see all the other bits and pieces that are in there. How interesting is that? It's like a capsule from a spaceship. Unload. Unload. And then pew, pew, come on, Chewie. And then they close the compartments once they're all in, and they can take off. It really looks like a spaceship. Then this piece here, where I have my thumb, so I'm going to remove it so we can see it. That triangular piece that the kids on the beach told me that makes these a male. It has this kind of shape with lines. And then it's in here. There's so much hair in here. There's so many little pieces of hair. So I'm just gonna sketch a little bit of hair here. And then I'm gonna continue doing my other half of spiky bits, and then how they come up to here, and they come to where the eye is, and they join, and then I'm gonna do my join here. There's a big hole for it, and as we see, some parts are soft tissue and some parts are very, very hard tissue. And all these joints are very soft still. That's why I can flex the different parts of the arm. One thing I really, really like is the Barnacle Bill. There's also some hair. Yeah, Barnacle Bill got his name totally right. And he also, even though some parts seem like a joint like this is just fused. It's not. And then the barnacle, and all these bits and pieces have names, and I'm going to label them later when I read my book about barnacles. But now I'm just going to draw what I see, and what I see is just like a triangle in the middle, and surrounded by these very hard surface, like petals of a flower, really. So these I'm going to put here. It looks like petals, so I don't forget. And then I see this very soft tissue that is keeping the joint together and allows these very hard pieces to bend. And all these joints, they can only bend one way. You see, they bend, but they can only bend this much. They cannot bend backwards, so that's the limit. So this is our second joint. I see a semicircle here, and it ends in very interesting pointy looking horn. And it's, you know what it looks like? This crab, it looks like he's wearing an armor to protect himself. And I have read that crabs, they change when they grow. This armor, it's too small for them, so they need to build a new armor that is a little bit larger. It's like buying pajamas that are too big, and then you grow and the pajamas are getting very small, so you need to leave those pajamas behind and get larger pajamas. So for crabs, what they do is something called molting. And when they molt, they leave this armor, so they, for a little time, they're very soft and vulnerable until they start hardening the surface again, and they have a new structure around them. So I just finished this leg, the big leg, with some detail here and there. There's maybe some more detail that I can add. There's some areas that are thicker and thinner, and I'm gonna have so much fun when adding some color. And now I'm gonna do this leg, and this leg had the joint right there where we left it before, and then this very interesting fused. I wonder, were they once separate and they joined? I have no idea. And then it has like this very interesting shape, this first leg, this curvy here, and that's more of a straight line. When I have been drawing bees, they also have very interesting legs, and it kind of reminds me a little bit all these bits and pieces of a bee's leg. So this is another joint, because we can move it, and it joins right there, and it's much shorter, and it ends as well in this curve there, and there's this soft tissue there. And then that's a little bit of dry algae, but I like it. I like that I'm just gonna draw what I see, with a little bit of an algae there that is dried up and probably also contributing to the smell. But one thing I start noticing is the hairs. Look at those hairs over there. What? They look like tiny brushes. I don't think he's a painter. So what are those hairs for? I have no idea. And also here, this leg, this tiny leg, it has brushes of hair here and here. That is so interesting. And at the bottom, it has two. Wow. So that's so interesting. I need to put that in my sketch somehow. So if I was to see these, if I cut it, I would see that it has 2 rows of hair in the back and 1 row of hair at the top. Yeah, that is so interesting. That is so absolutely interesting. And it ends in a tiny dark pointy bit that kind of looks like a beak. Looks like a bill or a beak from a raptor. So I have already this leg and that leg. I'm gonna do this leg because I want to start adding some color. I am gonna draw this joint here. It moves. That's our first joint, and it has very interesting shapes. And it also has hairs. So everywhere I see hair, I'm just gonna use my 2B pencil and add some hair. There's also hair over there, so I want to put hair everywhere I see it. And then look at that, they also look fused like that, but here, that is so interesting. So I'm just gonna try to draw what I see. And I see 3 barnacles here, so I want to draw them. And these ones also look a little bit triangular, like a big triangle surrounded by what it looks like flowers, petals of a flower. So I see 1, I see 2, and then I see another one here, 3. And that's how Barnacle Bill got his name. Then I see these in front of these, so I'm just going to make sure I draw that. And these very pointy bit that I also saw here, but just from a different point of view. And then I see how these comes behind here. There's a ridge there, and oh, thank you. The flight just sat on my pencil. And I see a little bit of the soft tissue there, so I'm just gonna indicate that. He's been such a good model. I am very sorry that he died. There we go. And then look at that. That is amazingly amazing. So I'm going to remember that this is coming from here. And I see them from a different point of view. I see all these. They look like teeth, actually. They look like teeth. But I know the teeth are not there. The mouth is here. And then is fused to the rest of the structure. And it has so much more texture here than here. Here is very soft, but here it has 1, 2, 3, 4 ridges, and then also it has ridges like this. So I want to make sure that at least I draw the ones I see from where I am. 1, 2, 3, and then all these other ridges here. It also has texture here. Yeah, this is much softer. The inside is super soft, whereas the outside is much more, it has much more texture. And that's something I can write here. The inside of the front legs is very soft, and the outside of the front leg is very textured. So let's do the final piece. My favorite part, I think, of this crab is the big dactyls, and I don't see the teeth or the all these shapes from the perspective that I'm using, but I know they're there, and it ends like this. So I'm gonna finish the shape of the top, and I'm also gonna make sure that I finish. I have more legs coming from there, but I'm just gonna draw those. So 1, 2, there we go, and then it would have the shell continues from there. So I really want to have fun with my colors. I'm going to start, it's like so orange, so I'm going to start with a little bit of orange where I see orange, and I think it's more red on this part. In the inside I still can see more red, so I'm going to make sure it's not all orange everywhere. And I also see that here, as it comes closer to the bud, it becomes very, very muted color. It's not as red as the outside. So I'm just going to start with like a light orange. Yeah. And here the color is only closer to these kind of joints. The rest is very muted. And I think these flies also need to be in the drawing. Then this leg, it has like spots, like orange spots, and much more color here. And as we go to the very tip, they become darker. Look at how dark that color is. So as you can see, I'm just using one color for many places, so I don't forget what color I used. And I can color with different colors on top of the others. So everywhere I see this color, I'm going to use it now. Wow, it's so pretty. There's also some algae there and there as well. Some color here, and there's some spots here as well. And then a little bit of orange here, and also a little bit of here. This is very thick, so that creates a shadow there. Now I think after I'm done with this color, I think I'm gonna switch to another color. So I think I'm gonna go with a red. Oh yes, because I see there's so much more color there. All these very vivid red. Red here, and look at how dark that is. Oh yes. It's almost purple. It's so dark red that it's almost purple. So I might come here with my purple, or with the blue. We'll see. Yeah, all these has a little bit of red there, and definitely as we come to the very ridge, it becomes redder. And here it's very, very red, almost blue purple. So I'm gonna start with red, and I will add some other pieces. And then this arm, yeah, it has a lot of red here, a little bit here, and it mixes very well. And then it has a little bit of red there. And some here as well. And definitely much more red here than here. And when I look at this leg, it's a little bit redder as we go into the very end. Mostly I see like dots and patches. Okay, well I think I'm gonna add a little bit of darker red here. Much darker red. And depending on the light as well, like these tiny horns look like horns, a little bit lighter because the light is hitting. So a little bit of red, and a little bit of this red here as well. So many different colors up there, like blues and purples. The important thing is that we can compare that this is much darker than that. And we can flip him as we are coloring. Because that's the cool thing about having found Barnacle Bill, the dead crab of the intertidal zone. And I'm going to add a little bit of blue to make this much more darker. And also here. And this could be my blue for the shadows too. A nice blue. Could do awesome for shadows. Because that's so much more on the shade there. And even here is like yellowy, but it's a little bit blue. Especially where all these bits and pieces meet. It's always a little bit darker. But definitely where I see blue or even green is on the soft tissue. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of green, a little bit of blue, and let's see this leg here. And I will add all the colors. See, when we see the leg from here, we don't see this soft tissue. This is on the inside. Actually looks a little bit green, so I'm just gonna go and add a little bit of green there. Definitely the algae is super green, so I'll just put that there. And I need to put a note that this is algae, dried, that got stuck in there. There's some other algae here and here. Yeah, I can see some Barnacle Bill has been in the water for a while. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of pale. I will sharpen my pencil. So back in position. Yes. And there's a different yellow here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of yellow to the barnacles. Oh, now we can see both insides. put it like we had it before. Different yellows, and you can color everything that you find. So we're back with our drawing, and I'm just adding a little bit of color in the different places that I see. There is this very soft yellow here and here, and I'm just gonna go and add a little bit of brown. Oh. The darkest reds, yeah, I see them here with some spots over there, and they're here a little bit darker there, and definitely so much more dark over there. Oh, and then there's a little bit of shadow here, so I'll just use the same color. And all these ridges are so interesting. Here, definitely this color would go super well for the top, so I'm just gonna add color there. And all the color that we used before, the blue, the red, still there. It's totally still there. There we go. And then with this color that seems to be very dark and awesome for these darker reds, I'm going to use it in more places to add a little bit of shadows here and there. And also here to the soft tissue. And then here, yeah. Dots. And more dots here. And I'm almost leaving the very best for the end. This is a brown that I'm going to use for the darkest areas. The very dark areas. Like for example, all these little hairs. Oh yes, and there's some dots here that I want to add. And all these hairs are very brown. I don't see any hairs here or here. That is interesting that only the tiny legs have hairs at the bottom. So hairs only on the small legs. almost only at the last section. This one here has a little bit of hair here, but it's mostly on the last section. So we have, if you see that you lost some of your lines when you were coloring, remember you can always go back with your graphite pencil and draw over. The barnacles are kind of different kind of yellow. It's much more soft, and I will add maybe a little bit of blue on top, especially the ones that are in the distance. And then I want to give more color here. Much more color here, especially even inside there's even more partitions or pieces. Color is right at the edge. And even if it's not the exact same color, it's absolutely fine. So I'm going to write a couple of things that I have noticed. Is that they look like two compartments made out of puzzle pieces, and they open like this. They open. Yeah, that is so cool. And I think the flies have won an honorable mention because they're also very shiny and very interesting. They have very also beautiful iridescence. So I think they have earned a place in the drawing. They have very red eyes, and again, beautiful iridescence on their bodies with green and yellow and dark blue. Yeah, they're beautiful flies. Total different animal that we were so lucky to see right there. So how many flies? At least I have seen 3 or 4. Many flies have visited our crab. And we also have barnacles. Another one here, another one barnacle. So I'm going to even use the graphite for the darkest. So now the fun part, the very tips of these front legs are very, very dark. And I have a black, but I'm not going to go all black because there's some areas that the sun is hitting. There we go. So we have some areas that are not as dark. They're more like gray. There we go. And they look like teeth, at least to me. And then this one is dark from the very, 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 very start where it joins. That's super, super dark. Super, super dark. And I'm also going to use a little bit of black for some extra shadows. But I'm very, very happy how our friend is going, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with the title because these amazing crab that we found As I said before, it has a name. The kids around here named him Barnacle Bill. So I'm just gonna have fun with my title. Barnacle see if I don't misspell it. Barnacle Bill. And he is a crab. And what are all the things I want to notice before we let him go? I'm gonna put, like, those are the mouthpieces. Underneath it is all the mouth parts underneath. And then he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 missing leg there. So 8 short legs, 8 of these legs that are for walking, although 1 is missing. And then 2 of the big ones with this mobile end that is called the dactyl, and that moves. Yeah, that's the dactyl there, and this is the dactyl here. And it also moves like this. And then if I flip him, I want to make sure that I do a little bit of sketch here of the general shape of this crab, just in case I find other crabs that have different shapes, because I'm sure they're all very different. So I'm just gonna extend the feet like that. So the legs come from here, and then a little bit of here. So that's the shape of this crab. And then this big front with these 2 horns here, and this like massive front leg. So this is, just so I know, this has all these ridges that I want to put here. So this is the dorsal right here view, and this is the ventral view from here. So this is the dorsal, and this is the ventral, and that is the piece that the kids told me that is a male crab. And I'm going to put an asterisk so I know that. So this is the dorsal view. So I'm just going to leave Barnacle Bill here and thank him very much for being our model for today. And that's all. Now it's your time to have fun.